Welcome to Horse Sense, where every hoofbeat carries a story, and every flick of the tail hides a meaning. Here, we explore the wisdom, wonder, and history of horses. One tale, one fact, one moment at a time. Whether you're a lifelong rider, a curious mind, or just someone who loves the beauty of these majestic animals, you're in the right place, so saddle up. And let's discover what horses have been trying to tell us all along. It starts with a question, one that doesn't shout but whispers. Carried on the wind between tall grasses and still hooves, why do horses follow some and not others? What makes one horse step forward and others follow without a sound? Is it dominance, instinct, or something deeper, something more ancient and unseen? This is not a question with a quick answer, because horses don't live in the world of commands and hierarchies as we do. They live in a space of energy, presence, unspoken trust, and quiet observation. To follow another in the horse world is not to obey. It is to align, to sense something in another being that says, "It's safe to move now." And so the others follow. Horses speak in a language made of breath, posture, stillness, and tiny shifts. An ear flicked, a shoulder lowered, a pause so subtle we'd miss it unless we were listening the way they do. In this silent dialogue, leadership is not declared. It's felt. A horse who feels grounded, who regulates their nervous system, who doesn't react to every noise or challenge. That horse becomes the emotional anchor for the herd. And in a world of constant alertness, that emotional anchor is gold, so they follow, not because they must, because they want to. It's tempting to compare horse behavior to wolves or other pack animals, but the horse is not a predator. It does not seek conquest, it seeks peace. Herd order isn't about who can win a fight, it's about who brings the most consistency, the clearest energy, the most trustworthy response. In many herds, the lead mare is not the biggest. She may even be older, slower, quieter, but she's the one who senses danger a second sooner, who moves without panic, who grazes in confidence. And others relax beside her. This is the kind of leadership horses value, not loud, not flashy, but deeply felt. To follow in the horse world is not a weakness, it is a gift, a choice born of awareness. Horses don't blindly trail others, they constantly assess moment by moment who is worth following. And if a leader becomes chaotic, disconnected, or fearful, the herd adjusts, they shift. Because in a horse herd, leadership is not a throne, it's a responsibility, and it must be earned over and over through presence and peace. This is not a rigid structure, it's a living dance, one built on trust, calm cues, and the profound intelligence of bodies that remember what fear feels like, and seek its opposite. Before we talk about the power of presence, the dance of emotional intelligence, or the art of quiet leadership in horses, we must first go back, way back. Thousands of years, in fact, to when the ancestors of modern horses roamed vast, untamed landscapes. Back then, survival wasn't just a matter of strength, it was about attunement, about knowing when to move, when to stay still, when to flee. And crucially, who to trust. Horses evolved not as predators but as prey. This truth shapes everything about them. Their large eyes are set to the sides of their heads for panoramic vision. Their ears rotate to pick up sounds from multiple directions. Their hearts beat fast when startled, and their legs are built for flight, not fight. To survive, they needed each other, not just in the physical sense but in the emotional one. Because when you're a prey animal, the nervous system isn't just your own. It's a shared current that flows through the herd. In these early days, hierarchies weren't about power plays, they were about coordination. Imagine a herd grazing under the wide sky. One horse lifts its head and senses danger. Others watch that horse. Is she calm, alert, moving? Her reaction becomes information, her stillness becomes a signal. Over time, certain horses were watched more closely because they had better timing, because they reacted with clarity, because they didn't bolt unnecessarily, but when they did move, it mattered. These horses became natural leaders. not by demanding attention but by earning it. Evolution favored herds that listened well and individuals who offered trustworthy signals. And so, without ever voting or declaring, hierarchies emerged. Often, leadership in the wild does not fall to the biggest or most dominant male but to a mare. She is the compass of the herd. She decides when to move, where to graze, when to seek water. She's not loud, she doesn't bark orders. But the others watch her body, her breath, her rhythm. She has earned this role through experience, consistency, and sensitivity. She doesn't control the herd, she guides it, and others follow not because they must but because she makes them feel safe. That is the root of herd harmony. Contrary to popular imagery, the stallion in a wild herd isn't always the one leading the charge. His primary role is to protect. He stays on the edges, watches for threats, fends off intruders. He respects the lead mare's decisions. He doesn't micromanage. He ensures safety but not direction. This cooperative dynamic, rather than a top-down chain of command, is what allows the herd to function so gracefully. Though many horses today are born into barns and paddocks, their instincts remain wild. Deep in their bones, they carry the memory of the open plains. They still watch for subtle cues. They still sense your emotions. They still form roles even in small groups. In rescues, pastures, or therapy programs, horses are still playing out ancient roles, adjusting constantly based on presence, energy, and emotion. The answer lies in these ancient instincts. Horses aren't choosing based on logic. They're following a rhythm that's been encoded over millennia, a rhythm built on stillness, safety, and shared awareness. In the modern world, we often define leadership by charisma, assertiveness, or the ability to take charge. But horses live by a different rule. In the world of horses, leadership isn't about control. It's about nervous system regulation. Let's break that down. Because this single concept, regulation, may be the most important key to understanding why horses follow some and not others. Every horse has a nervous system designed to keep them alive. When they sense danger, their sympathetic nervous system kicks in, increasing heart rate, breathing, and alertness, fight or flight. But here's the secret. That response isn't isolated. In a herd, it's shared. One horse tenses and the rest feel it. One horse relaxes and the ripple calms everyone else. This phenomenon is not mystical, it's biological, and it happens in humans too. It's called co-regulation, the ability to influence each other's emotional and physiological states simply by being near. In a herd, the most followed horse isn't the loudest, it's the calmest. The horse who can return to baseline the fastest. The one who notices danger but doesn't overreact. The one who breathes evenly, holds steady, and helps the rest do the same. Because when your world is full of potential threats, a regulated presence is magnetic. That horse becomes the emotional lighthouse, a steady beat in a sea of reactive hearts. Others gather around. Not because they've been told to, but because their bodies feel better near that energy. Now here's where it gets even more powerful. Horses read our nervous systems too. They feel our breath, our tension, our heartbeat. They notice the difference between a clenched jaw and a soft gaze. You can't fake calm with a horse. They don't listen to words, they listen to your body. And if your body carries peace, stillness, and grounded energy, the horse may follow you. Not because they were trained to, but because, in that moment, you feel like the herd leader they trust. Science supports this, too. Horses, like humans, have what are called mirror neurons, brain cells that activate both when an individual acts and when they observe that same action performed by another. This means a horse doesn't just see you relax. It may feel it, and this is why emotional congruence matters. You can't smile while feeling anxious and expect the horse to be fooled. They respond not to the mask, but to what's behind it. That's why horses are used in trauma therapy. They are honest mirrors. They show us how we really feel, not how we pretend to. In the human world, stillness is often mistaken for passivity. But but in the world of horses, stillness is power. The horse that can stand quiet, alert, and present without tension is often the one others look to. Stillness says, I am aware, I am calm. And that is what leadership really means in the language of the herd. In human society, rank is often formalized. Job titles, authority, status. A low-ranking horse may still have strong influence because others trust its judgment, or because its emotional energy is deeply stabilizing. That's why trying to force a hierarchy onto a herd, or assuming it functions like a ladder, can lead to misunderstanding. A horse may not lead in movement, but it may lead in healing, in grounding. These roles are invisible on paper but felt deeply in the herd. Conflict is natural even in the most bonded herds. But how horses handle it teaches us something profound. They don't seek revenge, they don't hold grudges, they don't gossip or manipulate. Most conflicts are resolved with simple body language, a look, a step, a swish of the tail. Sometimes there's a chase, but rarely blood, rarely an injury, and once the message is clear, the moment ends, peace returns, balance is restored, because the herd's survival depends on cooperation, not division. In herds where trauma has occurred, like rescued horses or ones pulled from neglect, these emotional roles become even more important. You'll often see one horse begin to stabilize, and others gather near, not because they're better, but because their nervous system has become a safe space. In trauma-informed equine therapy, this is often the horse that becomes the co-therapist, the guide, the one who mirrors calm even when humans cannot. It's not about rank, it's about resonance. Much attention is paid to leaders and protectors, but some of the most essential horses live in the middle. They are not flashy, they do not demand attention, but they form the glue, bridging gaps between personalities, buffering tension, and offering quiet companionship that brings safety. Their gift isn't direction, it's connection, and without them, even the most structured herd would feel empty. We often think of leadership as the pinnacle, but in horse herds, every role is sacred. The sensitive one, the playful one, the hesitant one, the curious one, together they create a social body that can move as one, sense danger as one, heal as one, because in the language of horses, contribution matters more than command, and presence is more powerful than position. It's one of the most magical feelings in the world. You walk into the pasture, and a horse lifts its head, walks toward you, and chooses to be near. No halter, no lead rope, no command, just a choice. But why do horses seem to choose some people and not others? The answer lies not in force or technique, but in emotional leadership. Humans often try to become the leader of a horse through methods, pressure, or position, but horses don't follow you because you say you're a leader. They follow because you feel like one. To them, and in their world, a leader is someone who makes them feel safe, understood, and emotionally balanced. It has nothing to do with dominance, everything to do with resonance. Before you even step into the paddock, a horse has read you. They've felt your heart rate, observed your gait, seen the tension in your shoulders, sensed the pace of your breath. Are you congruent? What you show matches how you feel, or are you wearing a mask? Horses are masters at seeing through masks. They sense energy, not intention, and they decide, sometimes instantly, whether to lean in or stay away. But horses don't want a boss, they want a partner, someone who leads not by intimidation, but by integrity, someone who doesn't react to every twitch or fear, but who holds space through it. That's emotional leadership. That's how horses choose. It's not the big gestures that win a horse over. It's the quiet ones, standing still when they need space, breathing deeply when they're unsure, waiting without demand, moving with intention. Every time you respond with awareness instead of reaction, you're building something deeper than obedience. You're building a bond, and in time the horse begins to look for you, not because they have to, but because something in you feels like home. Here's a beautiful truth. The way a horse responds to you often reflects how you're showing up emotionally. If a horse avoids you, it may be showing your own internal tension. If it sighs and drops its head near you, you might be more regulated than you realize. This isn't about blame, it's about feedback. The horse is not judging you, it's showing you moment to moment what you're broadcasting without words. And in that honest mirror, we find our truest growth. There's no shortcut to this connection. No bribe, no trick, no force, but when a horse chooses to stand by you, when it follows because it wants to, when it rests near your side like a companion, that is leadership, that is trust, and that is love. Spoken in the silent, sacred language of presence. In many wild herds, leadership doesn't belong to the loudest or the strongest. It doesn't belong to the one who rears the highest or gallops the fastest. It belongs to a figure who often moves without drama, without spectacle, without needing to prove anything. It belongs to the lead mare. A quiet force at the center of herd life. The lead mare isn't always the biggest or the boldest. She may not be the one who chases off predators or fights rivals. That job often falls to the stallion. But when it comes to the rhythm of the herd, where they graze, when they rest, how they move, it's her body language they follow. She leads by choice, not command, and the others listen not out of fear, but out of trust earned over time. The lead mare leads through consistency, not by asserting power, but by being predictably calm, decisive, and aware. She notices danger before others, moves first toward water or shelter, and waits last when a young or injured horse lags behind. She is the one the herd watches, even in silence. Her leadership is rooted in presence, not pressure. She doesn't micromanage, she doesn't coerce. She simply moves and others follow. It isn't fear that makes a herd follow the lead mare, it's the safety she radiates. In uncertain conditions, she knows where to go, when to wait, and how to soothe tension without conflict. She doesn't react, she responds, and this emotional clarity becomes contagious. Horses feel her stillness as stability, her decision-making as direction, her calm as comfort. The lead mare rarely uses force, but she teaches through subtle corrections. A sideways glance to stop a younger horse from crowding, a shift in posture to redirect energy. There's no yelling, no spectacle, just emotional fluency. Her lessons are not loud, they are lived. We often think leadership must be assertive, that to lead is to dominate, to control, to win, but the lead mare shows another way. A way of leadership that begins in stillness, that earns trust instead of demanding it, that guides through presence, not force. She reminds us that the greatest leaders don't create followers, they create safety. And within that safety, others rise into their own strength, more than just leading movement. The lead mare sets the tone. She calms the anxious, steadies the young, softens conflict with her authority. When she moves, the herd moves. When she stops, the herd breathes. She is not the ruler of the group, she is the heartbeat of it, and in her quiet power, she teaches us the deepest truth of all, that trust is the real language of leadership. We often think of horses as prey animals, alert, reactive, hyper-aware of danger, and while that's true, it's only one side of them, because beneath the instinct for survival lives something softer, an emotional intelligence built for connection. In moments of stress, grief, or uncertainty, horses don't just scatter or shut down, they reach for each other, and in that reaching, something profound unfolds. When one horse is upset, others feel it. They may turn their ears, lift their heads, move in closer, but not to fight, not to dominate, to soothe. This is co-regulation, a biological phenomenon where nervous systems sync. One calm presence can lower the heart rate of the whole group. And horses, with their hypersensitivity, are masters of this. They comfort through closeness, through stillness, through gentle, almost invisible touches. Studies have shown that horses mirror the emotional states of their herd and their humans. They match posture, they match breathing, they even match heart rhythms. So when one horse panics, others may too, but the reverse is also true when one horse grounds itself. When it stays soft, slow, steady, the herd often follows suit. Comfort becomes contagious when you see two horses nuzzling necks or standing nose to flank. They're not just being social, they're communicating safety. These touches lower cortisol, the stress hormone, and raise oxytocin, the bonding hormone. It's not dominance, it's an emotional presence. And in the herd, this quiet contact creates resilience. Some horses form lifelong bonds with specific companions. They graze side by side, they sleep near each other. They panic if the other disappears. These relationships are deeper than survival instinct. They mirror attachment theory in humans, because for horses too, the secure bond is everything. It's a touchstone in a chaotic world, a familiar rhythm, a source of emotional regulation. And just like us, horses feel the pain of absence. Sometimes deeply, if you approach a horse in distress with your own calm presence. They may co-regulate with you, but only if your calm is real, not forced, not faked, felt. Because horses can't be fooled by masks, they read energy, not words, if you are grounded. They soften if you are tense. They flinch. In this way, being with horses is not just a responsibility. It's an invitation to return to your own calm, so you can be the comfort they seek. True leaders in the herd and in life aren't those who take control, they're the ones who restore calm. When a foal spooks, it looks to its mother. When a fight breaks out, the lead mare may step between, not with force but with certainty. She doesn't yell, she doesn't punish, she just holds still, present, grounded, and in her stillness the herd remembers how to breathe again. We live in a world that often rushes, that values action over presence, control over connection, but horses remind us sometimes the greatest power is to stand still and be felt, to comfort through energy, not effort. To lead not with noise but with nervous system stability. In a herd, comfort is leadership, and leadership is love in motion. In our world, leadership is often loud. It's tied to status, authority, achievement. It's about being in front, making decisions, commanding attention. But in the world of horses, leadership is something else entirely. It's quieter, gentler, less about dominance and more about emotional alignment. And when humans try to lead horses the way we lead each other, we often get it wrong. Many well-meaning people try to earn respect by showing control. They move the horse's feet, they set boundaries, they expect obedience. And while structure has its place, horses don't follow because they're impressed. They follow because they feel safe. When we lead with tension, they brace. When we lead with presence, they soften. That shift from control to connection changes everything. In the wild, the most respected leaders aren't the strongest. They're the most emotionally stable. They notice everything without reacting to everything. They offer clarity without coercion. They respond instead of control, and their followers don't obey out of fear. They choose to align. That's the magic. Have you ever noticed how some people enter a room and animals gravitate toward them? It's not a charm, it's not posture, it's emotional congruence. The inner and outer self-aligned. No masks, no noise, no pretending. Horses trust what's consistent. They follow what feels true. So why do horses follow some and not others? It's not about force. It's not about being in front. It's about being grounded, aware, honest. They follow the one who doesn't need to lead. Because they already. In the end, horses are not just animals to lead. They are mirrors, guides, emotional translators. They reflect where we're clenched and where we're open. They show us that stillness is not weakness, that presence is power. And that true leadership begins within. If this journey into the heart of the herd moved you, if it gave you pause, comfort, or clarity, please consider subscribing to Horse Sense, where soul meets science and silence speaks. Because in the world of horses, every movement means something, and every relationship is sacred.